Family. This is your brother here, Brother Samal, here at the Artist Journal. Pray that the family is doing good. Khepra, what's going on, my guy?
I know I'm a little late. It's a lot going on, man, but I'm here.
What you talking about, man? It's 3:30.
They say on time is late.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and open up, man.
All right.
It's gonna be a free flowing conversation, and we're just gonna let the vibe flow.
I had to just put my stuff
Yeah.
on.
So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is the Artist Journal. This is a platform where we showcase entrepreneurship. We showcase dope creatives such as Khepra Anu, and also we showcase our travels around the world. So you saw last week we had on the lead singer of Bamboo Station, which is my brother, and today we have an esteemed guest in Khepra Anu, um, world renowned raw foodist, um, author of Paradise Health, um, mentor of mine, and is a staple here in the DMV area, particularly here in Washington, D.C. I want to say, Khepra, welcome to the platform, brother.
All right, salute. I appreciate it, man. I'm honored. I'm honored to share, whatever bit of guidance, information, wisdom, inspiration. These are all the things that I've prided myself on over the years, and any opportunity I have to, to come on wherever. And so you reached out, and I'm honored. Thank you.
I appreciate you. So, Khepra, when we do our shows, we always want to start off with an African proverb, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask you to expound on this particular proverb, and then we go into it.
Okay.
So it reads, "A donkey always say thank you with a kick." What does that mean to you, brother?
Oh wow. Um. Well. A donkey always says thank you with a kick. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir. That's a proverbs out of the country, Kenya.
Hmm. Well, I think that I know that to have gratitude and appreciation is one of the highest virtues. It's one of the things that we have to continuously remind ourselves at times. I know that in terms of life itself, one of my proverbs is that, well, I wouldn't call it a proverb, but one of my maxims, I call it that, is that life is not fair. Um, and then I follow that up with saying that life is not supposed to be fair. And I think once we adopt, if I think we as a collective adopt that as a max, as a, we just adopt it and embrace it, our perspectives would shift where we don't compare ourselves to others. I think we can naturally do that. We look at our lives and see the opportunity. So it's almost as if we're thankful for the blessings, but the blessings often can come in packages that are uncomfortable. And so that kick, the donkey's kick, can be something that is uncomfortable, and the kick is sudden. So that could also be something unexpected and something that is even painful.
Right.
So 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 but still gratitude is in order, and when I think we can really we can really reach that level where we can aspire to be thankful in the uncomfortability of life itself. That's when we can reach really great heights.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, oftentimes we ask for these lofty things in life, such as, patience and but the hills and valleys you have to go through to
Right,
obtain patience sometimes is unpleasant. We don't want the process,
right,
just want,
right.
so I hear you on that. I want to play a quick clip of yours for the listening audience and also those that may tune in a little later and rewatch the video.
Mhm.
I want to let them know who we got in the building today in Khepra Anu. So just hold tight real quick. I'm gonna play a quick video and then we get into the conversation.
My food is part of the raw gourmet or the raw cuisine or the sun cuisine. What I call raw food or healing food is real food. I mean, raw food has obviously been around since the beginning of time, since the beginning of food. But the raw cuisine is something that is relatively new with the vegetarian movement, with everything that is going on in terms of people becoming more aware, more conscious of their food choices, really be a serious option for not just health seekers, but for eaters. We can really have a serious meal that meet our needs nutritionally, meet our needs spiritually, and meet our needs emotionally. A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to visit the island of Dominica, and people are routinely living to 120, 130 years of age. There are no fast food restaurants. There's very little processed foods. I was on a mission to really learn as much as I could. It was a quest that I began to learn how to make my own bread, entree dishes, things that require certain vegetables. I had the opportunity to learn from Aris Latham, who really can be credited as the father of the raw gourmet or the raw cuisine. You eat what you are. So if you're eating a largely cooked food diet, you're probably eating processed starches, the breads, the cereals, the rice, the bagels, those things, a largely sugar diet. So you go to a raw food diet, you say, okay, I'm just going to eat raw, then you're probably going to gravitate more to the fruits. Green leafy vegetables have to play just as important role. I'm not saying not to eat sweet fruits, but I can't overstate the importance of eating green leafy vegetables. The next thing is your social environment. Food is so much more socially accepted than recreational drugs. But we don't look at our food as being a recreational drug, which it very much is. Once it's processed from its natural state, it's a drug. It's so prevalent and it's so widely and socially accepted that we don't understand the addiction. Because again, that temporary pleasure that you got from eating processed foods, overly cooked, genetically modified, that was a false pleasure. Big corporations have done a great job in promoting their non-foods. And the economy is dependent upon us being sick. It keeps the pharmaceutical industries going. It's important for us to be sick, and it really goes against the whole establishment if we take our health into our own hands. Another step is learning how to make some of the food. You have to become somewhat of a chef. In terms of optimal health, healing, balance, just the feeling that it creates when you're eating these kinds of foods, it really is nothing better. You cannot talk about healing and not talk about the importance of fasting. The body is a self-healing organism. It's always looking to heal every single minute of the day. It can only heal when we start to eat less or start to juice and to drink more fluid versus solid. I mean, the body has programmed itself to fast each and every day when we go to sleep. If we want to take healing to the next level, we actually, during our waking hours, we extend that fast, especially the fresh coconut water, which I believe is the number one food on the planet. It has the dual distinction of being a water and a whole food that will go and clean out our whole system. We can extend the healing process, but only when we fast. So yeah, certain foods can certainly, help and assist us nutritionally, and it can nourish us on a certain level when you connect with the lifestyle of, being natural, so to speak, of eating your foods naturally as they were presented to us in a natural way, seeing the balance between, feasting and fasting. Once we make that step in that direction and we start on that path, then we're truly living. We're truly understanding our human potential.
Like some memories, huh?
Yeah, man. That video, the gentleman you saw at the end, he put that together for me, but he was filming it, and it was featured in the Healing Effect is a documentary. So, the producer of that film was from Boston, and he was in DC and came by the store and wanted to put me in the movie. It was sort of a last minute thing, and that was the complete edit of what we did, and part of that is in the movie. So it was a great look. I was able, like, the brother Rocky, he put that together. Shout out to him, and for just putting that together. It's a great it's a great little 5-minute piece that really does a great job of showing me in action the philosophy we talking about. Basically the keys, or a lot of the part of the a big part of what I've developed is, like, just reaching, like, sort of an optimal health, and sort of like the way you need to think about
Got you, got you, got you.
it.
Those of you who might be coming in, feel free to drop a comment or question in the chat. Um, so, Kepler, let's get into it, man. What initiated or started your journey on to eating more healthy?
Well, I think, growing up in the 70s and 80s, and I'm originally from upstate New York, a small town, like, not far from New York City. So we were very heavily influenced by New York City culture, and at that time it was, hip hop was in its beginnings, and just being a part of that early hip hop culture, and the consciousness that came with that. So it was like, socially, you were, it was like cool to know, African culture, and real history, and this is what they don't teach you in schools, and blah blah blah. And one of the things that I really gravitated to was the health.
Got
So while I was while it was sort of a big umbrella, where it was like knowledge of self, who you really are and where you really come from. And it was like, I started seeing, because it was like, books at that point. We buying, like, I'm going to Harlem, 125th Street, checking out the book vendors.
yeah,
I'm seeing these books on health, and I'm like, wow, and it was just that kind of started it. And some early books, Queen of Four, Dr. Africa, those are some of the, like, the earliest books that I got. I was so inspired, and just really gravitated and connected to it. Um, KRS One, who some of his early songs talked about being vegetarian, and I was just like, talking about Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live.
Powerful
I mean,
book.
these were some of the earliest like jewels that I was able to get my hands on, and it really started me on a journey. um, it really took on, like, one of the things that I always like to mention too is that actually even a few years after that, being in college, I got a chance to hear Dick Gregory speak live. This was during our Black History Month events. This had to be like 1990, 1991. I think it was 90. No, 1991, because I entered college the fall of 1990. So that had to be, because that was Black History Month. So that was February 1991. And, he talked about the raw, or he just talked about basically fruits and vegetables. And, and it was just like, it was no looking back. It was just I mean, it didn't fully start at that point, but the seed was planted, and it wasn't going away. And so these were some of these was like, this was like definitely destined. This was something that I was drawn to. I gravitated to it. I never thought in a million years that, you know, that it would not only become my life. This is how I've made a living for the last 25 years.
Mhm.
So when it reaches that level, it's one thing to practice it, as a lifestyle, which is what it was for me. And I never expected it to do anything other than that. It's like, look, this is my lifestyle. This is what I'm doing. I'm not going to, you know,
Did
and
the transition, man, was it a bit difficult for you initially, or you just went full blast into it?
yeah, there were stages. There definitely were stages. And I think, um specifically with going raw. Now, it wasn't really difficult going, vegan or vegetarian. There's a lot of options, especially today. But I didn't spend a whole lot of time there, and I think even back when I started doing vegan vegetarianism before raw, I didn't stay there long. And but going raw was a transition. It was a step. And I talk about that in my keys to becoming and staying raw, because it's a whole mind, body, everything. Like, you gotta like be totally in tune with what you're doing, why you're doing it. You gotta know what your cravings are going to be, and why they're going to be there, and how and what you could do, because there's nothing like food as far as making that change, trying to transform. It's so fundamental. It's so elemental to who and what we are, how we think. Even your thoughts are a direct result of how you eat.
Wow.
So when you're thinking about like trying to make a change, like, you can't eat, your thoughts can't be trusted. Because as they say, the gut is the second brain.
Right,
and
right.
and it takes over this brain.
So, I know I remember you saying to me, like, man, really consuming solid food is like entertainment, you know?
Right, and that's one of the things we have to realize, the difference between true nourishment and just being entertained. I think it was last year I had put out this thing about snacking, how snacking is one of the worst if not the worst health habit.
Come on,
No,
Cap.
it's not a health habit. It's a bad habit. It's not a health habit, but it's one of the worst habits because snacking is like, I mean, are you snacking to because you're hungry, or you're snacking because you're half hungry, but you don't want to necessarily eat, but you just kind it's all entertain. Snacking is the perfect example of I'm just going to entertain myself. And the thing is like, if there's one caveat or if there's one pass that I can make with somebody snacking, it's like, look, it's fruit. If I'm eating a banana or apple or some citrus or melon and I want to snack on that, that's fine. That is quite fine. But if you're doing anything other than that, but we know when we say snack, it's something in the bag, there's something that's crunchy, it's
I hear
something
that crunchy, that bag.
right. It's something that's salted, it's something that's concentrated. It's concentrated.
Right.
So the thing is that that's entertainment. Pure entertainment. It you know, we don't understand how valuable our digestive system is. And I think if we understood how precious that energy and how it should be utilized, when we can say to ourselves, like, we don't want to give it more than one opportunity per day to break down food, meaning that when we bring in like heavier fats, proteins, things of that nature, we only need to do that once,
Got you.
and when we're bringing if we're snacking, either a few hours before we've really eaten or a few hours after, it's yeah, we're undoing ourselves because with the whole digestive process, when we think about our cycles, on a daily cycle or sun cycle, we got moon cycle, you know, that cycle is something we want to honor as far as that rest. So we want to give our body in a 24-hour day, we want to say, okay, I'm gonna when we eat that meal, I'm giving it a full 23, 24 hours to process it. Now, if you want to eat fruit before and after, because fruit is basically you're eating your water.
Got you.
You're eating, fruit. A lot of fruits is you're talking 80-90% water, even up to 99% water. Some of your fruits are. So you're basically eating water. So that doesn't really count as a meal per se. That's just you're just eating hydration at that point.
Got
Um,
you.
Along with like your fresh juices sort of fit in that same sort of category. But anything outside of that would be like again considered like a real meal. Like your body has to do some real work, and so yes. So really, to the original point is that most people, if if you're outside of what I just explained, it is just something. Now somebody could say, well, I eat 2 meals or 3 meals a day. That's what I've done for my whole life.
Right.
And I would say that, well, basically your body doesn't need that much food. At some point that's going to catch up with you, and you need to evolve. Like you're eating like a child. Like
Right.
that's how a child should eat. We're not children. We're not growing. We've matured. Your diet needs to mature along with you.
Absolutely.
And so we don't to eat that much, and like I said, it will catch up with somebody who's eating that much per day, and especially if they're not particularly active. So so it's all a journey, and there's a whole system, and it's always evolving. I'm continuously pushing the letter and the envelope in terms of like the information and the awareness of how we need to continue to evolve and grow. And that's certainly one of the things.
A while back, a few years back actually, you was teaching us the importance of detoxing and fasting, and how it has the potential to heal a lot of ailments. For the listening audience, can you speak a little bit to the importance of detoxing slash fasting, and how do you do those two things?
Okay. Well, first let me. You mentioned healing, and I've known for a very long time, and when we think about healing, we have to first and foremost understand that the body wants to heal itself 100% of the time. And once we really embrace that and we trust that, see most people, even especially in this, in our alternative health community, don't trust that. They feel like the body needs some help. And the body does in a way, but not necessarily in the way that most people think. The body needs that help in in with fasting, pretty much, because it's like it's not so much that we need to add or we need to do, it's what we need to not do. And what we need to not do is to not eat. Because again, as I just talked about 2 minutes ago, it takes a hell of a lot of energy to process a meal.
Right.
That energy is something that we take for granted, and when the body needs a break from that from time to time. So the healing will naturally activate by just to stop eating. And one thing we can do intelligently is to get in front of it and say, you know what, I'm feel fine, but I need to do this as a maintenance. Like, you have your scheduled maintenance for your car. Let's schedule some maintenance for this vehicle. Let's honor and look at this vehicle in the most precious way. This is the only one we get. And I don't know about you, but for me, this is priceless. This is a gift. This is something I honor, respect, and I'm gonna try to give it the highest quality care that I could give. So we talk about healing. Let's trust the fact. Let's exhaust the possibility. Say, you know what? I'm not feeling so well. Whether you got like a physical ache or you have some sort of internal ache with an organ, whatever it is. One of the things that I've learned is, like, there's a term called the unity of disease. And no matter how we term it or we want to place it in a certain area of the body, all disease, pretty much the whole point is that disease there's pretty much one disease. There's one disease, and then and ultimately there's one solution, and that solution is self-healing through rest, and that detoxification will happen naturally because the body already knows how to do it.
Right.
So we just have to step out of its way, get your ego out of it. Like, you're gonna take this supplement or this or this that. Your body already know what to do. It's already doing it by giving you the uncomfortability of pain.
So
See,
it's
the
trying to
pain,
communicate.
right? The pain is the signal saying, like, stop what you're doing, stop eating what you're eating. Because when we have this, when we're feeling uncomfortable, the digestive juices stop working.
Mm,
Okay, so and the appetite cut off.
yeah.
So we've just been trained, we've been programmed. obviously there are forces, powers that be, that don't want us to understand these truths. And when we understand, and we can regain that trust that the body is a self-healing organism, that the body can do it if we just step out of its way and allow it to do it, then um more off, pretty much every time we're gonna find success.
Right. Question for you. You said there's only really one disease. For somebody listening to that, I mean, diabetes, cancer, lymphoma, all these things exist, right? So if you could break it down for us as to how that there's only one disease, what do you mean by that?
Well, how it shows itself is will be unique to this person or that person, but how it starts and how it evolves is the same for everybody. So it starts with basically with the nervous system. The nervous system is the system. It is our electrical network that sends the signals every to for this to work, for everything to operate. And once that starts to get stressed, and how does that first begin to get stressed? It begins to get stressed from diet and lifestyle. So once that happens, now, because a lot of those diseases you just mentioned don't just show up.
Right.
It's been a it's, it was an evolution of toxemia in their stages, and it starts with the stressing of the nervous system. We call it innervation. And once innervation, the next phase is irritation. So again, irritation is not necessarily, you may still feel fine, but something is off
Right.
because the system is irritated, and it may show up in like sort of, but again, your body will sort of adjust, and then ultimately that will lead to inflammation.
Got you.
Once we get inflammation starts showing up, then we know the body is sending signals, and it's trying to communicate and saying like, okay, something, you're not following the owner's manual. So, and then after inflammation, we start to get what's after inflammation? Then we can reach either ulceration or induration. Ulceration is when things start to like tear. Induration is things starting to harden. So at this point, now you start to see these things that you just mentioned, when things start to really evolve into something. And then because at the last phase, that's cancer. That's when tumors form, and but all of these things are have the same root cause, and it's all diet and lifestyle. And because when I say, and I mean, I mentioned diet and lifestyle, but there's so many things that we take for granted. It's not just what you eat, but obviously it's like your exercise, how you move. This body was designed to move. Sunlight. We live in, most of us live in the seasonal environment. We're not in the sun year round. We're not outside year round. We're not connecting with nature year round. We're hardly connecting with nature, period.
Right.
So we're not, and most of us have these um a lot of us have soft skills, meaning that we don't
Right.
we don't we're not like building, we're not physically, you again using this body. It's like we got to go to the gym in order to, and I mean, yeah, okay, you got some workout enthusiasts who go to the gym every day, but our work should be part of how we use this body.
Got you.
And we find ourselves in office buildings, or even at home, There's a lot of EMF radiation. Again, we're not outside. We're not swimming in hold on. We're not swimming in ocean waters. Um, we're not doing any of those things that are going to relate to a brother. I was taking an Uber, and the brother from Cameroon was like, I swear to God, I swear to good God, like he was like, "Where you from?" Right? And I was like, "Yeah, I'm from upstate New York, blah blah blah." And honest to God, he said, "You look like you from a place where they only eat fruit and nuts."
Hey, yo,
Hey, I was like, "Yo, where he come from? Where like?"
yo,
And he was eating because he was like, and I was telling him a little bit about myself, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you do natural stuff, natural healing." And I was like, "Yeah, I do the natural healing." And he said, "Yeah, because me and my dad, we went when we got these we went up to Laurel get these natural supplements and stuff, but it's not working."
yeah,
And then I went on to explain, I'm like, "Look, you just throwing your money away because that's not how the body that's not these things that's just business. Your body is sending you that inflammation and that pain for a reason because you're not in if I told him, I said, look, you driving this car all day." He was eating these like little waffle snacks. We talked about snacking. And I said, if you was in Cameroon right now, you'd be getting more sun, you'd be eating better food. You wouldn't be feeling these pains you have right now because now you're in an environment that's going to be more conducive to your health and longevity.
right.
So again, we take so much of this for granted, and we need to really look hard. And this is we're at a point, we're in the middle end of October, and this is a particular time where, while it may not be, I mean, it's always, any time is a good time to start, but the power of this time is the power of, this is more so the time of reflection. The summer, we reach a point in the cycle where the cycle is such that, while it may not, like I said, it's not necessarily the optimal time to begin like a new program or a new diet, but it's definitely time to reflect and plant the seed for the upcoming cycle where the energy would be more at our backs, to give us that momentum to go into the spring months. So the winter time is really that time at the beginning of the cycle where we really want to begin something anew. And then we have that spring momentum into summer. So, but now is the time to totally be having these conversations, totally be looking at like, okay, how, because making any type of changes has to be very well thought out and planned. You have to think about not just yourself. Most of us don't live in a vacuum or a bubble. I mean, there are people around us, relationships, there's family, there's traditions. I mean, making changes is, especially food changes, like you yourself may be ready to do that, but there's so many forces and energies around you that you got to think about and you got to plan for, and be ready for that if you're really serious about making something that's going to be lasting.
That whole
I know I'm going all over, but
you good, but that whole social thing, that's when they get you. Being around
right, right,
they
right. No,
family,
no, 100%. That's probably that's probably that's probably the strongest force right there, because we're social beings. We're constantly looking for validation of our thoughts, our opinions, our beliefs, our ideals, and all of us no matter how much of a loner hermit type person that we may be, we all want some type of validation from something greater than ourselves. So being part of something bigger than yourself is always extremely powerful. It's a powerful force that may be the strongest desire that most of us have, and we don't even realize it.
Absolutely.
So when if you're following a diet that most people don't do, that in and of itself is really, it says a lot about you. But for most of us, unfortunately, most people don't have the will or the desire to do that, for their own reasons, and it's okay.
Yeah.
This is a journey, and when I started on this path, it wasn't for anybody else. I know it was something I wanted to do for my own reasons, and I was going to do it. And there was going to be no compromise, no, and that's why, because of my spirit and my attitude, and I have that type of mindset, it really this had to become more than just a lifestyle for me. Like, I had to be the one to be to sort of be in charge of providing that as a service. Just saying, like, okay, because once I adopted it and I got the swing of it, and then especially once I started making food, it was like, all right, you got to do this for other people. It was like that's what the universe was telling me, or it basically pushed me in that position. And
I got a
yeah.
question for you. For someone who read a couple of these comments, where art thou is saying this is a great conversation. What foods should a raw foodist or rawist avoid for you?
What fruits and vegetables should a
Yeah,
raw
on the
food?
market, there's a lot of seedless and hybrid, and and so for someone who's
I
making a
mean,
transition from just being vegan to more of a optimal diet or being raw foodist such as yourself, what
yeah.
are some of the things that they should avoid as far as
Yeah,
vegetables?
yeah, I mean, and this is a great topic, because our beloved ancestor Dr. Sebi is the one we know highly influenced this line of question, where it's like, avoid the seedless this and this and this. And certainly there is something to be said. We need to really, like, respect that. But however, I will say that a lot of even our seeded fruits have been tampered with. Until we are able, most of us live in these economic centers we call cities. Everything is brought in. Nothing is produced locally. You could do your best in your farmers markets, because that's what I always say anyway. It's like, we want to start with local. We want to start with farmers markets, like what was grown 10 miles or within a certain radius within you. If you go to your farmers market and that be the beginning of your shopping, then you're doing better than 90%. You're doing it because, like, this is like energetically, like, where you are on the planet. Now, from there, obviously you can't get everything, but you can get most of your stuff from there. So it's not so much, I don't really get into, like, avoiding this and avoiding that. Certainly, I, like most people, want to do seeded fruit. I want to do organic vegetables, especially the green leafy vegetables. I want to do that as much as possible. Um, so there really aren't any vegetables or fruits. It's just that it's really where I want to source them from. So I want to source them as much as possible from farmers markets, and then number two is your organic market, and then number three it would be your international market, because international markets are like low key some of your best markets, especially for exotic fruits, and then even for vegetables. Some of them vegetables, they may not be organic, but some of your they have vegetables that may be more well known in other parts of the world that we don't are not familiar with, that have high nutritional vibrational energy. And so it's not so much, I wouldn't get so tied up in like getting this fruit. I In my opinion, like even like, okay, like for example, I mean, watermelon is one thing. Like I remember a day, I'm old enough to remember when there was no seedless watermelon, and them joints just came up on the scene, and I could taste the difference. Like there is a significant different taste. But then you look at something like seeded grapes versus seedless grapes, and like the seeded grape, unless it's like a muscadine grape. See, I ate muscadine grapes all summer. I'm down with the muscadine grapes.
Right.
Those other grapes, they with the softer skin, they taste the same as the seedless grapes. To me, there's no difference. I'm not really a grape person, so it's more of a personal thing. Nothing against grapes. I like the muscadine grapes. The muscadine grapes, that tough skin. I think they just have a higher nutritional content than more of your soft skin grapes. And then of course, we're coming into winter, so I don't mess with what's coming into season is your citrus. So being here on the East Coast, the Florida citrus is what's you got the Valencia oranges, you got your grapefruit, your ruby reds. Like I really try to avoid California citrus at all costs. Whether it's organic or not, I don't pay attention to that. Like I want my oranges to have seeds. The juice from the oranges, I'm making citrus juices. Um, that's gonna be all the difference. So that's some of my personal how I move in this whole fruit ecosystem. Just being in this type of environment. But yeah, I wouldn't be I wouldn't trip so much on fruits and vegetables, because your fruits, remember what I said, is that your fruits, you're not, again, a seeded grape versus a seedless grape, because I think I would probably eat a organic seedless grape over a conventional seeded grape, because I don't see the seeds being a game changer with the grapes, for example. I don't see the seeds being like a game changer. I like watermelon, like the taste is too different. Like seedless watermelons don't taste like nothing. There's
Wicked,
no
wicked.
there's no nutritional value, very little in a seedless watermelon. Um uh so so yeah, I think I touched on everything I wanted to say with that.
Since we're speaking about environment, right? What does Khepra do in a toxic field environment where there's chemtrails everywhere, seedless fruits everywhere, water is bad, air is bad? Like, in your mind as a raw foodist,
Mm.
and for those that are trying to make the transition but are very highly conscious of all of these different dynamics that we got to swim and navigate through, Kep, like, how, how do you do it, brother?
I mean, I've been doing it. I mean, one, you got to raise the awareness and the conscious of it. most of us are probably not even aware how toxic our air is, how toxic these EMFs. We got EMFs flowing. It don't even matter if you have internet in your house. You still your neighbor got it, and that's penetrating through the walls, and you're being affected. So between the chemtrails, which and people got to understand what chemtrails are. That's like when that plane is dropping, when that cloud is coming off of that plane, that cloud is aluminum particles. So
Man,
we're literally breathing aluminum particles. It's on our food. It's going over. So even if you're eating local, that cloud of aluminum is dropping on the food that you're eating, and you're breathing it. So that's aluminum,
why? What's
right?
going on, man?
Mhm.
Why? What's going on, brother?
It's a war. I mean, and the war is sort of like this covert, silent war of wanting to reduce our vitality. Why do they want to do that? Well, there's different theories. They want to reduce population. They've been that's not even a conspiracy theory at this point. That's like sort of an open.
Yeah, they came out and said it.
Yeah, they came out and said it. So they want to reduce our vitality. They want to reduce the population. We see the birth rates are falling all over the world, maybe with the exception of Africa, and in India. Birth rates have just been on it. Well, definitely in the Western world, where they're doing all these practices, they're working. The pesticides on the food, all of these things are reducing the vitality. So birth, like to be virulent. To be able to that's a sign of health. To be able to reproduce oneself, that is like probably the biggest sign of your health and vitality. And we should all aspire to reproduce ourselves, have children. But we see that these accomplished adults, in our world, they get together, and you hear IVF is a big term. I mean, people have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to try to conceive. I mean, it's just. But we understand that these people are products of the environment. They're not thinking about chemtrails. They're not thinking about all of the chemicals in the food that's messing up their whole reproductive system. Um, so what do I do? What do I do? First, again, just to be aware. And then after you raise awareness, now you start to, because it's not what you do today, it's what you make your everyday rhythm, what you make a part of your everyday lifestyle. So for me, like, okay, for one, I spoke about the radiation. The antidote to radiation is grounding. You want to continuously at all time, at most, if all times a day, all time during the day and night, especially at night, but even during the day, you want to be connected to the earth. The earth is an electrical force field that will zero out positively charged EMF radiation. So
Gotcha.
like even right now, I'm stepping on a grounded mat. So there's no, even though the EMFs are around me, is having a zero sum effect because I'm grounded. Um, um, I sleep on a grounded mat at night. So at least 7 hours, whatever, however long I'm sleeping, I'm on a grounded mat.
Where
Uh,
do you get your grounding mat from?
I think I got mine from it was either earthing.com, but I think I got the one that I have now was from another website. Because it's gotten really popular. A lot of people know about it. I usually wait for the Black Friday.
Yeah,
Everybody goes on sale Black Friday. So that's when I usually like stock up on like these kind of things that I'm into.
Got you.
So I have my grounding. I got a pillowcase. I got the sheet. And I don't put nothing on top of it. I sleep on that sheet.
You at war, man.
Yeah, man. Look, you got to come with it. So the other thing is obviously how I eat, because how I eat and how I practice fasting and diet, that is also, again, all of these things support all each other, because the biggest thing with like eating the way that I do, it also helps to counteract all of this negativity. Now, I don't always eat organic. Um, I try to eat definitely mostly organic. Some of the organic I don't even trust. So I try to do as much local and organic. That's really the combination, local and organic. So what does local mean? Local is basically like, basically anything that's like, not, it don't have to be like down the street, but it could be like Pennsylvania, Maryland, North Carolina. It didn't have to travel so far to get here. That's considered local and organic. But if it's just local is better than organic from Mexico.
Got you.
So that's the, or organic from California, because organic will come from California as well. So local trumps organic. So I try to eat as much the highest quality foods. um what else do I do? Sun. You got to get outside. You got to get that sun energy. That creates a whole circadian cycle. Not just getting sun on your skin. So we're moving into the colder temperatures now, so it's a little bit more difficult. Hopefully you took the opportunity over the last 4 or 5 months and got as much sun on your skin as possible. But that sun is not just getting it on your skin, is looking at the sun, like letting it like, even like I mean, you could look into the sun, even high noon sun, for 20-30 seconds. It's not going to damage your eyes, but it's
Got
going to activate that pineal gland, because there's a nerve that right from the eye that goes right to your pineal gland. If you look at the sun, it will regulate. That pineal gland regulates all your hormonal glands. So some people practice sun gazing and can even get to a point where they just lose their appetite for food. That's how powerful sun gazing is.
you.
And that's how like, for people who aspire to do the breatharian, that's how they do it. They do it by sun. So they really are like getting their nutrition directly from the sun.
Got you.
And again, because they're doing it so much, is regulating their appetite. It's very powerful, high level practice. Something that I don't, at least at this stage of my life, I don't aspire to get to.
Got
uh but it is what it is. Again, we spoke about movement. And then, one of the things that I've really come back to is, just the power of purpose, the power of, understanding that we're spiritual beings, walking in an earthly existence and not the other way around. When we could really tap into the highest essence of who we are, and understand that we're not this physical thing that we think we are. Life is to really show us that we are far greater than this body.
Mm.
And when we can really tap into that perspective on a daily basis, and know that like we can make magic and miracles happen, because we're not defined by space time. We're infinite and eternal. We're timeless. We were here before we was here. We'll be here after this expires, and we can make magic happen. And they don't, and you know, again, the system don't want us to understand that. They don't want us to really embrace that fact, you know, and but we have to, you know, a practice of quiet time, meditation, prayer, whatever it is your practice, that has to be a daily practice. We have to daily remind ourselves, because we always reminded that we're in this physical body. We're always, because we get hungry and we want to eat. So it's a reminder that, oh, I need to eat. I need to feed the beast. But you're great. You're so far greater than this physical.
Come on, Cap. Well said, my brother. Come on.
You know, so that's been something that you know, because then once you understand that, because a big part of health, and some people do talk about this, but probably one of the biggest, highest elements of health is really aligning yourself with your purpose. We all come here, we don't just come here nilly willy. We
Right.
come here to service our fellow brother and sister in the way that we need to service them. Okay, we all have something unique and talented that we can tap into, that we naturally can do, that we can do, and we can do it lovingly, where it's so much connected to who we are. We would do that for free if we could.
Right.
And whatever that is, that's one of the top uh aspects of life. If we could tap into that, that's going to take care of so much,
Yeah.
because when we can get into something that we are divinely connected to, that becomes food in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Like you know, people often will eat food because they're not connected to that, whatever that is for them. So they'll use food as the filler or false food. And of course, that will never, because they're not truly fulfilled. You know, now they start to fall into, and then once, because they're eating food that is not part of the owner's manual, because they're not connected to their divine purpose, now you start to have this things, you start to eat, you know, the level of toxemia starts to build, and now the purpose becomes, well, I'm trying to save my life, you know,
Yeah.
and you've devolved your entire life, you know. But you know, this is what life, that's why I say life is not fair. It's not supposed to be fair, but it is special.
I could share something with you real quick. One of my good friends, you know, he's struggling with an ailment, and we was talking earlier, and I was explaining to him we oftentimes like to run away from issues in the guise of like drinking, smoking, running after these different women, and it's like you never take the opportunity to just be. You know what I mean? And appreciate what this thing called life is. And you cannot, just like you just said, like you got to be still to be able to understand some things. So you cannot, it's not going to come to you if you haven't at some level master this physical, this animal. You gotta tame this physical, be still and let life teach you some things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's right on point what you said. We was talking about that this morning.
Right. Because the, you know, I mean, I get into this thing now. I call it you know, we look at the beast life. So I say, like, which one is in charge? Is it your higher self or is it your beast? What? It's not both. One or the other is in charge, and we have to really be real with ourselves to see which one. Because if there's any type of, like you said, dealing with a physical ailment, then that's clear. The beast is in charge, because the physical ailments is the physical body. It's out of balance. It's in pain. It's breaking down, right? Because you've put pleasure,
Mm,
you've put that you've put that momentary pleasure first. You've made that first, like you said, with the women and the drinking. Like you're putting pleasure ahead of, or I should say, temporary false pleasures.
False pleasure.
You know, ahead of, because that's not real pleasure. You know, real pleasure is putting pain first. Pain is discipline, structure, making a plan, you know, that like withdrawing, like, you know, that's smart pain, which will ultimately flip into your ultimate pleasure. Because when we cannot eat, right, and whether it's for a couple days or even like a day, let alone let's say a 2 week, and you'll know real pleasure at that point.
Mm.
Because I couldn't imagine how good I feel
Yo.
after not eating for a week.
Yeah. A while ago, a few years back, you did a 14-day fast, right?
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, yo, this man is crazy. You did 14 days straight, right? No, and then you pushed it to 21.
Right.
You pushed it even more, right?
Right.
I said, nah, man, I'm going to try this.
Okay.
So I did 14 days. Man, I felt like a god, man. Like straight
Exactly.
up, man.
Because it goes back to what I just said. You're not feeding the beast.
Right, right.
Right? You're not feeding the beast. See, when you feed the beast, you're feeding the beast physically, right? You're feeding it 2, 3 times a day. You're snacking. You're just feeding the beast.
Yeah,
But then we start to feed the beast mentally. You know, we start to have negative. It's all negativity. It's drama. It's whatever. And then we start to feed the beast emotionally. You know, because now the physical beast is breaking down. We got pain. We got all kind of this that. Now it's like, oh, you know who, you know, you looking for help, and now it's like emotionally you start to become a victim, right? Especially if it's something like life threatening or serious. And again, it all feeds itself. And then next thing you know, is trauma. It's traumatizing. All of these things roll together. Victimization, trauma, just the overfeeding oneself. It's all and again the thoughts, it's all just negative, and it's just leads you down this path of destruction,
got you.
where now you know you can do all of the opposite of those things. Instead of feeding all this up, you know, you make fasting as a lifestyle practice. You positive the power of positive attitude and love and appreciation. You know, we started this with talking about a thank you. You know, even with the kick, thank you for the kick.
Right.
Thank you.
That
You
experience.
you helping me. You
Right,
you helping me. I'm not a victim. Yes, I know life ain't fair. It ain't supposed to be. Thank you for this opportunity, because the greater your setbacks, that
mm.
lets me know that this lets when you have
Ooh.
these strong roadblocks and setbacks, that just lets me know how much power you really have, how much magic you can really make happen. Because life is saying like, you have the potential to make this go away, or to make this reverse itself. And life is waiting for you to make that choice and make that decision to say, you can make, but you got to change your attitude.
Yeah.
You got to have an attitude of gratitude. You got to think, it's like, wow, the world is crumbling down upon me. I'm thankful This is the drama that I've been waiting for, because now this really puts me to the test to make this miracle happen in my life. And so when we're in the fasted state, now the brain starts pinging. Again, the nervous system don't have no interference from the bad food. And everything starts and ends with the nervous system. So when we drinking light, we drinking coconut water, we're not eating anything that's clogging up the system, and the body's working, is pinging. We like, now we start even connecting beyond ourselves. We start communicating and getting divine messages.
Yeah.
And the last thing we can ever think to become is a victim.
The
No,
reason, the reason why I'm smiling, man, for the last 4 or 5 years, I done seen you go through a lot of hills, a lot of valleys, and to watch your journey, to have the privilege to watch your journey, and for you to talk like how you talking now.
mm,
For those of you who know you, like,
mm.
that's powerful, brother.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing. It's a
Yeah,
blessing, man. I can speak on this because
I
I
know.
was the victim.
Yeah,
I had to check myself. I'm like, yo, I know better.
yeah.
I know better.
So when the donkey kick you,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
we a little bit over an hour, so we're gonna wind down a little bit, but we have to bring you back for another segment because I feel like it's heating up, and I want to go some directions. I know,
Yeah, I know we didn't touch on a lot, you
you know what
know.
I mean. You,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
the vibes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
but
I know, I mean, from the diet, I mean, because you had asked me even earlier, like even my practice itself, again, I could probably run for 20 minutes just answering that one question, but I understand.
nah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So for someone, one of the comments says, one of the questions, do you have any recommendations where people can find raw food recipes?
That's a good question. I mean, because a lot of what you may find online, I mean, it's crazy because we live in this society now. I mean, we could go on our phone, we can go on these devices and light speed pull up things, but a lot of these things, a lot of the things that may show up mean is a hit, probably a miss at best. A lot of these, they're not really coming with like high quality, useful, uh, you know, um, recipes. So that's a tough question. I don't know how to even answer that.
Got you.
Even myself, I don't have. I mean, the recipes that I have, I do have a few videos online on my channel. There is one in particular that I have. And it's funny because that's my most watched video. Where I'm doing the meatloaf. So y'all can check that out. And that's pretty much how I do it. But as far as the recipes itself, or finding recipes, yeah, I mean, I the recipe book is coming.
I got you.
Yeah, it's coming.
I got you. So, are there any new goals or projects? Could we expect another brick and mortar Khepra raw food?
Oh yeah, it's coming, man. I mean, again, this part of my destiny is my, I've supported this community, but the community has really supported me. And in part of what has been like my path. And so I feel that it's only right to reemerge when in the divine time.
I got you.
So I if to say anything more than that. I mean, I do believe that will be sometime next year. So we'll see. Time will tell.
I got you. So in closing, Kep, if you had the platform to speak to 8 billion people, what would your, and you only had a minute to talk to 8 billion people, what would your message be?
Mm, mm. Wow, that's I wasn't ready. I'm not ready for that.
Hey, this is the journal, brother.
Well, I'll just speak from the heart, man.
Yeah,
Well, we have to start with loving thyself. If we can really find it in our heart to love thyself, and honor thyself, honor this vehicle, this body, and again, we started with being thankful and being appreciative. And if we can have that thankfulness and appreciativeness uh for this body vehicle, it can really give us more than what we could ever ask for. So yeah, that would be my message to the world.
excellent, excellent. I appreciate your time, Kep. We definitely got to bring you back. And for those that joined us today, please continue to support us. This is a small, modest channel that we are growing out. So we're going to bring more creatives and entrepreneurs on board, such as my man, Khepra Anu.
If I can, if you could give me just a moment,
Sure, sure.
I just want to shout out. Um, well, I'm doing a in January. I mean, you mentioned my book, which I have a copy over there somewhere. But I'll be doing a retreat in Jamaica in January. I got 2 different weeks. You can go on my website, keprasrawfoodjuicebar.net. If you're interested in like studying with me, I'll be doing classes. We'll be eating the food. It's going to be probably the best way to start the new year. As you mentioned, my book Paradise Health, that's also available on my website. If you order through you can order on Amazon, but on my website, I send you a personal signed copy. And really, just other than that, man, yeah, I just wanted to just mention those 2 things. I mean, other than that, it's my usual, the juice cleanses. That's what keeps me busy and sustains me, is providing juice cleanses on a weekly basis throughout the DMV. So I appreciate the community, like I said, continues to support me, as I support you in your health goals and journey. So
Absolutely. Want to give a shout out to Mystic Mortal. He said, well, this person said a great guest he is, very knowledgeable.
all
So
right,
definitely, Kev, we got to bring you back for another episode, and maybe we can go more in depth as to the Jamaica.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, look. I already got at least one person signed up for each week, so I'm gonna be there. Like I have it. I'll be getting my plane ticket soon. I'm going to be there for at least 2 weeks. So join me for at least a week. You pick either week. We still got spaces available. Again, I mean, because a lot of the things you ask me, this is not so much this is really for me,
gotcha.
because this is part of, like, this is part of the antidote. Once a year, everyone should have a retreat in the middle of winter. Like in the summertime, it's not critical that I go anywhere in the summer, because the sun is here in the summer.
Right.
But in the wintertime, where it's like we getting hardly 5-6 hours of sun, and half the time it's cloudy and it's cold,
Yeah.
like that's part of my food. That's part of my diet.
And
Like,
how long is the retreat for?
huh?
How long is the retreat for?
Well, it's 2 7-day retreats.
Got you.
So you could do both weeks. you know. And so for me, that's been an annual thing that I always do. We've done it usually in February, but this year I said, well, let's do it in January and see how the people respond. You know, it's the first month of the year. It's a way to kick off and really get off on a good foot. Um, you know, so yeah, and you know, the best food.
Maybe we could do not this January because you'll be in Jamaica, but maybe we could do Khepra in Gambia
Uh-huh.
the following January.
Okay.
That'll be. I think the sun shine a little hot over there.
It does. It definitely does. Like
Yeah.
I've been to Ghana and I'm like, yo, I ain't never experienced a sun like this. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah. So, Kep, you got another question on the
Okay.
screen. If you can address that real quick, that'd be great.
Yeah. So detox formula for the body. I mean, I don't know where you if you caught the entire interview, but again, we talked about the unity of disease and how body aches, especially body aches. That's one of the first signals that the body sends us that we're off. And again, as we said, the unity of disease, unity of healing, which is self-healing, and we have to step away from the lifestyles habits. Mainly, first is food. So it's like, look, you got these aches and stiffness, that's inflammation, and the best way to treat inflammation is to stop feeding it. So eat less, drink more, or eat or just drink, you know, for 48 hours, 72 hours, a week, and the body will magically start to heal itself. Like all those aches will start to just smooth out. And you're like, what ache? Okay. Like you wake up out of bed and you're like, you've not only fully rested, but you're like, oh, I forgot this was hurting. It's
Khepra,
like there ain't no ointment, there ain't no herb or anything that could do that.
Khepra, real quick. If someone wanted to do a consultation with you,
Oh, yeah.
where can they find you?
Oh, yeah. So my phone number is 202 903 1950. That's my direct work line. Answer that if you know, like if I mean, I always answer that. My again, I gave my website. You can hit me on Instagram, even though I don't check that too much. But social media, you know, you can message me through there. The best way is a phone, just to hit me up and we could schedule something. Um, Usually, as far as the consultations are concerned, you know, I really just try to coach you into correct living. And correct living is the solution to 98, 99% of issues. Along with, like, you know, we touched on, like, you know, positive thinking and meditation and understanding that we're greater, and we go beyond this physical realm, you know, because that's part of it too. So, but yeah, just call me, or you could text that number as well. That's the best way. But you know, on my website is my email. If you want to do that, that's fine too.
Appreciate you once again, Kep. And for those of you who tuned in, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe as usual. So when we have dope and creative content such as this today, you guys will be the first to get notified. Kep, until next time, I want to say, man, appreciate you. Much love to you and your family. Until next time, bro.
All right.
That's how I reach out.
All right. Peace and love, brother.
Peace out.